Hey everyone, Mr. Riley here, and today I'm at Long Dock in Beacon, New York. But I'm here just for a minute, just to give you a little bit of perspective. I'll be heading out to hike Storm King Mountain, which is this mountain up here, and I'll be sharing with you some of the history behind the hike and hopefully inspiring you to take in some of the Hudson River Valley. Storm King Mountain inspired many of the Hudson River painters to capture this beauty of the Hudson Valley and spread it to the rest of the world. In the 19th century, painters from New York City would travel up to the Hudson River Valley into the Catskills to try to capture some of these beautiful images and put them on canvas to share with the rest of the world. Today I'm going to be hiking Storm King Mountain in the beautiful Hudson Valley. Today's hike to Storm King will give us breathtaking views of the Hudson Valley, but also it is going to be the site of the birthplace of the environmental movement. So join with me as we hike through history. So it's a bit of a rock scramble as you first ascend Storm King Mountain. So let's get the hard part over with quickly. Behind me is some of the oldest granite in New York State, dating back to over 1 billion years ago. In the 1960s, Con Edison proposed building a hydroelectric power plant right here that would have devastated and destroyed Storm King Mountain. Environmentalists organized and decided to fight back against the proposed building of Con Edison. This fight by environmentalists will be the start of the environmental movement in the 20th century. On the trail, you'll discover some old ruins. I'm not sure when they were built or why it was built, but just another place to go check out.
On November 8th, 1963, 6 dedicated individuals formed the Scenic Hudson Preservation Group. The grassroots group then set out to do whatever was legally possible to block the power plant.
So behind me is the parking lot where I got started, and the views are incredible, so let's keep on going. Storm King is more than a mountain. It's become a symbol for what ordinary citizens can do when they put their minds together and are dedicated to the cause of preservation. At this point, the orange trail will end, and then we'll have to turn right and head towards the yellow trail. So hopefully I don't get lost. Storm King Mountain will get you nearly 1,400 feet above the Hudson River, so you get a great panoramic view without getting a drone or getting into a helicopter. The Dutch originally called this Butter Hill because it looked like a stack of butter, but in the 19th century, the Romantic period, writers and artists looked to this mountain and came up with a more substantial name by calling it Storm King Mountain.
From day one, the Scenic Hudson group was led by Franny Reese. She was the champion. She held everything together and was the overarching force behind defeating the Storm King project. Reese's activist mantra was, care enough to take action, do your research so you don't have to backtrack from a position, and don't give up. This became the Scenic Hudson motto.
All right, so I made it to the other side of Storm King Mountain. So this is the spot where Con Edison was planning on placing their hydroelectric plant, which would have essentially leveled this side of the mountain. This hike and view was made possible by the efforts of Scenic Hudson and other groups that are committed to saving this land. Behind me is another power plant dam scammer, and they want to expand their current facility. And there are many groups that want to preserve the landscape and are fighting to stop the expansion of another power plant here in the Hudson Valley. So the struggle continues. Behind me in Newburgh is Washington's headquarters. So General Washington used this as a headquarters in the latter half of the war to protect against an attack in the Hudson Highlands. Here's one of the best views of the Hudson Valley from Panoramic Island behind me there. The Newburgh Beacon Bridge. Got Newburgh, Beacon. So I'm in Orange County, and behind me across the river is Putnam County. So Breakneck is over there, and then keep going out in the distance is Putnam County, and Cornwall is about 15-20 miles from the Hudson River. Behind me here are the cargo trains going south to New York City. Across the river on the Putnam side, that's where passenger trains run from New York City to Albany. So for hundreds of years, the Hudson River serves as a conductor, bringing people, ideas, and goods back and forth. So while you're up here, you may spot some bald eagles.
In 1965, the Circuit Court ruled that Scenic Hudson and the citizens it represented did have the legal right to bring forth its lawsuit.
As you go from ledge to ledge around Storm King, you can see how the Hudson River painters of the 19th century would have been inspired to paint some of these paintings on canvas and to spread the word to the rest of the world of the beauties of the Hudson River Valley. Collective efforts of bird watchers, outdoor enthusiasts, and fishermen that were able to save Storm King Mountain from its destruction. The striped bass population would have been negatively impacted by the proposed hydroplant from Con Edison, and that was one of the reasons cited for Con Edison to eventually scrap this project. So where I'm pointing to now is Constitution Island, and that's part of Putnam County and Constitution Marsh. So from Constitution Island to West Point, that's where the chain was placed back during the American Revolution. Where I'm pointing to is the town of Cold Spring, and during the Civil War, the West Point Foundry played an active role in creating cannons and ammunition that would be used by the United States Army to defeat the Confederacy in the Civil War. the Hudson River Valley has always played a vital role throughout American history, and it's right here in our backyard, so be sure to check it out. The Storm King Mountain hike is about a 2.5-mile loop, so give yourself 2 to 3 hours to take it all in.
The 1965 Scenic Hudson decision will pave the way for future environmental laws, such as the National Environmental Protection Policy Act of 1969, the Clean Air Act, the Clean Water Act, and many others.
So wherever you go, there's plenty of places to take those historic selfies and to capture the moment of this time and place in history. All right, so directly behind me on the opposite side of the river is Breakneck Mountain. So that's the famous hike where supposedly a farmer chased a cow and sort of pushed it off the cliffs, and that's how they got the name Breakneck. All right, so fun facts while you're out on the trail. So as Thomas Cole wrote back in the 1820s, we are still in Eden. And when you come off to a spot like this, I tend to agree with the artist Thomas Cole. Okay, so the blue-yellow trail gives way to the white trail, and from the white trail, that'll take us back to the parking lot.
Finally, in 1979, Con Edison dropped its plans to build the power plant. The settlement was finalized on December 19th, 1980 in Manhattan, with Franny Reese signing the document on behalf of Scenic Hudson.
All right, last short climb before I re-enter civilization. Sound of traffic greets me to know that I'm back in civilization. If you didn't take your historic selfie, here's your last chance. So as you return to the parking lot, you're greeted with Freedom Road, and this is part of the 8th grade curriculum, so I'll save that for next year.
So thanks for watching, and keep living history.